Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about certain important economic terms and concepts which are very important for RBI and NABARD examination 2018. I'm starting with this and we'll be covering all the important economic terms and concepts over a short period of time in the future. Courses are offered by Anujindal.in, RBI Grade B Comprehensive Course for the year 2018. NABARD Grade A and Grade B course will be launched very soon by the end of this week. RBI Assistant 2018, UPSC Management Optional, which has been created by successful candidates in UPSC, and SBI PO 2018 examination. So, if you want any of these courses, you can go to my website anujindal.in and you can subscribe or enroll to any of these courses that you wish to apply for. We'll be covering two important concepts, economic terms and concepts today. That is, the first one will be activity rate or labor force participation rate, and the second will be American depository receipts. So let's start with the first one. Activity rate or labor force participation rate or economic activity rate. What exactly is the meaning of this term? So the meaning of this term is the labor force of the country is known as activity rate or labor force participation rate. Now let's get deep down into the concept and understand what is included and what is excluded from LFPR and how is it calculated. It is always calculated in percentage terms and it is calculated or represented as a proportion of the total population of the country, the economically active population. So what we do is we put labor force participation rate or the labor force of the country in the numerator and the total population of the country in the denominator. Now what the question arises is that what is included in activity or labor force of the country. Now what we look for is people between the age group of 15 to 59 years of age. This is very important to remember. And secondly, people who are able, who are willing, and who are looking for work. So, for example, if you're preparing for RBI or UPSC, then you're not willing and you are also not looking for work, and therefore you are not a part of labor force participation rate in the numerator, although you are a part of the entire population of the economically active population of the country, that is the denominator, and therefore you do not become a part of LFPR. The rate varies from one country to another depending upon several factors such as school leaving age. So what is the average age of people in the country in different age groups, that is school leaving, retirement, popularity of higher education, social customs, opportunities, all these have a direct impact on LFPR. From this also a question can be raised in the examination. So taking an example, if there is a drug addict, then he is neither willing nor looking for work, and therefore he is not a part of labor force and therefore does not come in the numerator of LFPR. On the other hand, if there is a coolie who is willing to work because he wants money and he's also looking for work on a daily basis, he's an entrepreneur, he's a small entrepreneur who is looking for work on a daily basis, and therefore he becomes a part of labor force. So this is the primary difference between labor force and not a part of labor force. People who are able in the age group of 15 to 59 years, who are willing and at the same time who are also looking for work, are a part of labor force of an economy in the age group of 15 to 59 years of age. So this is important to remember. The second concept that we are going to understand today in detail is American depository receipts. What exactly are these ADRs? And we'll also have a look at GDRs. What exactly are GDRs? They're just opposite of ADRs, and how do they work? So understanding American depository receipts will give us a direct insight into GDRs as well, because they are just opposite of ADRs. What are exactly ADRs? So if you need to take an example, then let's say SBI bank is in India and this bank will be called as a custodian bank in case of an ADR. So what will happen is there will be a broker. Let's say Leonardo DiCaprio is the broker here and he is working with an American company, with an Indian company, sorry, called Gay Travels. Now this company is listed or has to be listed on Indian Stock Exchange, but this company is either willing or not willing to get registered with a with a stock exchange in the USA. That is, let's say Nasdaq or New York Stock Exchange. He is not willing or willing to get registered. We are not talking about listing here, we are talking about registration here. So there's a difference between the two. He is either willing or not willing to get registered with an American stock exchange. In any case, he is not listed on the American Stock Exchange. He is listed only in Indian Stock Exchange. So what this broker is going to do is he is going to buy some stocks of this company Gate Travels, and he is going to use SBI as a custodian bank and deposit these stocks in this custodian bank. Now this bank is going to transfer these shares or these stocks of Gate Travels to the American bank, which is going to use them or convert them into an ADR or an American depository receipt, which will be nothing but a security which will be created in lieu of the stocks taken for Gate Travels. Now there might be hundreds of companies. Let's say this broker buys stocks of 100 companies, deposits them in a custodian bank, which is SBI in this case. This bank, SBI, transfers the shares of these 100 companies to an American bank, which converts all these shares into one security which will be called as American Depository Receipt. Now this bank in USA will be called as Depository Bank. These American depository receipts will then be traded on the stock exchange as ADR. So therefore what is happening is rather than trading the shares of all these 100 companies separately, the American bank has converted all these stocks into one security, which will be termed as American Depository Receipt. So 100 stocks are here. All these have different securities, different notes which say what exactly is the stock, but this is then converted into one security, one piece of paper, which will be called as American Depository Receipt. People who are investing in the United States, either brokers or individuals or institutions, can then buy this one American Depository Receipt, and in turn or effectively they are investing in all these 100 companies. So it's just like a mutual fund, but in this case there is conversion of hundreds of companies stocks into one security, which will be called as American Depository Receipt. This ADR will then be traded on the stock exchange in the United States and invested by investors in the US. Now there might be, as I said, these companies, a part of these 100 companies might be registered with the US stock exchange, or they might not be registered. And there comes the second phenomena or second concept, which is called as sponsored versus unsponsored American Depository Receipts. So here are these two terms, sponsored and unsponsored. So the sponsored depository receipts are the ones wherein the foreign company, in this case Indian company, because when we're talking about ADRs, then we're looking from the perspective of USA and not India. So Indian company in this case is willing to work with American Security Exchange Commission in order to get itself listed or get itself registered on the US stock exchange. Whereas an unsponsored ADR is one wherein the foreign company, that is Indian company, is not at all willing to get itself registered or get itself listed or get itself in any way included in the American stock exchange. So these are the two major types of ADRs, that is sponsored and unsponsored. Now level 1 ADRs are unsponsored ones. Why are they unsponsored? Because they are traded on the over the counter exchange. Why are they traded on over the counter exchange? Because they have not worked out their laws and rules with the Securities Exchange Commission of the USA, and therefore they have not provided any information to SEC. They have not registered themselves with the SEC. Therefore legally they cannot trade, even through ADRs they cannot trade on the American stock exchanges like Nasdaq or New York Stock Exchange. So they cannot do that, and therefore they are traded over the counter by various brokers, by various institutions and various other companies in the United States. On the other hand, there are level 2 ADRs as well as level 3 ADRs which are listed on US exchanges. They can be listed on US exchanges. They're also required to register with the Securities and Exchange Commission and report their revenues, profits, whatever is happening with the company, the capital requirements of the company, the capital position of the company, everything has to be shared with the Securities Exchange Commission so that there is no fraud or there is no fraudulent activity by these Indian companies in the United States stock exchanges. So these are the two major levels of ADRs, and sponsored and unsponsored are the two major types of ADRs. So this is what we have regarding American Depository Receipts as well as the labor force participation rate. So this was the lecture on two important economic terms important for RBI and NABARD. We'll be discussing a lot more economic terms in the near future.